I like to get shit-faced. I don't know. That's about all I like to do.
Sword chief, it's the return of the blade and slice shade. Getting paid until my silhouette fades. A mercenary, spits a levy versus scary sage. Doing girlies dirty, splitting with obituaries. Death is not a factor.
There isn't much that hasn't already been said about this anime. The religious symbolism, the polarizing endings. There's literally essay upon essay written about these topics. For good reason. Evangelion is full of so much to unpack. What initially was supposed to be another mecha anime turned into, well, this. Of what I call the essential viewing anime, this is definitely the most difficult to grasp. When I say essential viewing, what I'm talking about are shows like Fooly Cooly and Cowboy Bebop, or movies like Akira and Ghost in the Shell. Basically pieces that aren't just a good introduction to anime, but what I believe are good pieces of art in general. If you have no idea what Neon Genesis Evangelion is, it's basically the story of 3 teenagers who pilot these giant robots called Evangelions, who defend a post-apocalyptic Tokyo, dubbed Tokyo 3, against giant aliens called angels. What makes Evangelion different is the focus on the psyche of the 3 main characters and the almost biblical method of storytelling. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, even if you end up hating it. Evangelion has been surrounded by controversy since its inception. The series ending was a total tonal shift, not even resembling the show that we got with episode 1. Fans bitched, and I mean bitched. Contrary to popular belief, the ending that we got really wasn't the result of budgeting or time constraints. Yes, it did have something to do with it, but the last 2 episodes of the anime was the intended ending. Anno, the creator of Evangelion, has stated this. However, people still hated it. They hated it so much to the point that Studio Gainax made an entire movie retelling the ending. Let me clarify something. For all intents and purposes, the endings are basically the same from a narrative perspective. However, from a tonal and pacing one, they couldn't be any more different. I'm about to get into some spoiler talk, so if you haven't seen the anime, please stop watching this video and go watch it, like now. What the movie End of Evangelion does that the last 2 episodes of the anime doesn't do is show exactly what happened to Nerve. This was really only alluded to in the last 2 episodes of the anime. This part of the movie I felt was a very necessary addition because it filled a gap left in the story. However, at the movie's halfway point, we basically get an art house movie. Now granted, the last 2 episodes of the anime were very abstract, like to the point of using storyboards abstract. Now the series has done weird shit like this before.
Thank you, Shinji. My life was meaningful because of you.
The tonal shifts that we experienced when we went into specific characters' psyches was expected, but never to the degree that we got in episodes 24 and 25. The last 2 episodes were basically a conclusion to what Shinji's character arc was becoming. And to that extent, I think it was a satisfying one. It's an ending that I feel really is kind of essential viewing for anybody who's still trying to find their place in the world. And the last 2 episodes take their time with this, and to be fair, this is an anime that takes its time with everything. However, it's almost like Anno forgot that there was an entire anime ending to address, which is why I can see why so many people had an issue with the ending of this anime. I mean, aside from the fact that it's really just a therapy session for Shinji, and by extension Anno, and by extension any of us who can walk a mile in Shinji's shoes, and the giant fucking robots. This is where I really hate to say this, but if you don't like the last 2 episodes of the anime, you're probably not gonna like End of Evangelion. The same general conclusion is reached. Shinji rejects the idea of all humanity giving up their individuality for a world with no pain in favor of a world where we all maintain the idea of ourselves. Some have even interpreted the ending as symbolism for the idea that beauty and happiness cannot exist without pain and suffering. Same general conclusion as the anime, but instead of this...
Congratulations! Congratulations! Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Congratulations! Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Congratulations! Congratulations! Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Congratulations!
We get this. Completely different tones. One leaves you feeling like this, and one leaves you feeling like this. Evangelion definitely leaves people polarized. Some people it's the most genius thing to come out of anime, and others think it's pretentious garbage. Me personally, I'm of the camp that Evangelion is brilliant, but not for the reason that you would think. This anime is smart. It's got textbook symbolism, really smart storytelling, and really relatable archetypes. What I think this anime really strikes a chord with is the representation of the human psyche. Ano has gone on record to say that his struggles with depression really helped to shape the Evangelion that we got. So much of Ano's mental state went into making this anime. Now, speaking from experience, and I'm sure many other artists feel this way, when you create art out of emotion, you have the potential to create something aesthetically beautiful. But you run the risk of alienating audiences when you create using emotion, using just imagery. Yes, running around in circles in your NYU black box in front of your theater class may be a representation of your struggle with anxiety to you. Look, I'm not saying your art is invalid. Hell, art is subjective, and really the only reason we make it is to please ourselves at the end of the day. However, truly powerful pieces understand that in order to fully resonate with an audience, you have to really understand what it is you're trying to present. That's why Evangelion works so well as a mecha anime. Mecha's target demographic generally is teenagers who are struggling to find their place in the world. In our case, adults in their early to mid-20s who still haven't figured it out but remember anime fondly. In any case, what Evangelion does is put the voices of depression into motion through diving into what makes these characters tick. The final act of Evangelion makes sense because we've seen these characters either struggle with or completely avoid their demons. The movie adds a layer as to why we're in this weird psychedelic universe from a narrative standpoint. But in regards to pathos, we've put these emotions into perspective with characters that we have now deemed human in the perspective of the narrative. I think a lot of art students miss this really important beat, putting the emotion into perspective. And that's why I think Neon Genesis Evangelion and the movie End of Evangelion are essential viewing. Even if you end up hating it and you think it's just pretentious garbage, viewing it is still valuable. What we got with Evangelion was the story told through the eyes of somebody who is struggling with a very real depression. A depression that so many real people deal with. And that's why Neon Genesis Evangelion is so important to so many people. Whether or not you understood the weird live action scenes, or the weird long cuts, or the infamous nut scene, you still got an experience that was very real. An experience that says you are not alone. So what do you think? What was your reaction the first time you saw Evangelion? What are some other shows that you think are essential viewing? Not just anime. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go be disappointed by Darling in the Franxx.